January 14, 2026, Tuesday. 4:03 p.m., Al Udeid Air Base, Qatar. Flat daylight, pale winter sun, 18 degrees Celsius. Visibility 8 miles through thin dust. The ramp shimmers. Heat haze over concrete. A single vulnerable asset sits exposed. A fuel farm and munitions staging line on the far west apron, just 900 meters from the perimeter road. 4 security forces vehicles. 1 CRAM trailer in standby. 2 Patriot launchers visible, but pointed the wrong way for what's coming. At 4:03 p.m. exactly, the first warning isn't a siren. It's silence, then the satellites flag it. 15 vertical hot spots ignite across the northern Iraqi desert and western Iran, spaced like teeth. Mobile launchers. Pre-surveyed. Preempt. The kind of pattern you only see when someone believes the defenders are asleep. In the base command post, the air is cold from overworked AC. Blue screens. Green tracks. And then a single line prints across the tactical display. Inbound, multi-axis, time to impact, 11:40. This wasn't a drill. The defended force at Al Udeid is small by design, because the doctrine assumes warning time. But the enemy didn't plan for warning. They planned for shock. At 4:03 p.m., 27 minutes later, 15 missile sites would be wiped out. But at 4:03 p.m., none of that exists yet. Only the inbound arcs. Only the distance. Only the math. Help is coming. Too late. In the next 38 minutes, a regional line would be crossed, without a single soldier ever stepping onto a beach. And the people who ordered it would make 4 fatal mistakes. They made 4 fatal mistakes. What happened in the next 27 minutes changed everything. This is that story. 290 nautical miles to the north, the Gulf looks calm from above, a dull steel sheet with white flecks. But the geography here is not calm. It is a trap. The Strait of Hormuz sits like a choke point, 21 miles wide at its narrowest shipping lanes. To the west, the Arabian Peninsula. To the east, Iran's littoral missile belt. And in between, Allied air corridors, tankers, and ports that cannot move. Al Udeid matters because it's the hinge. It controls tanker tracks over the Gulf, ISR orbits over Iraq and Syria, and the rapid sortie pipeline into the Levant. It's also political, a forward symbol visible on every satellite, known to every adversary planner. If it flinches, alliances flinch. 75 miles southeast is the port of Maysaid. 120 miles north is Bahrain, home to a carrier strike group's logistics spine. 200 miles east is the UAE coast, its desalination plants lined up like soft targets. And 410 miles north-northeast, near Erbil, sits an Allied radar node that feeds early warning into the entire region. For months, the tension had been tightening, quietly. Drone probes from the south of Iraq. Rocket harassment near Ain al-Assad. Naval swarms testing exclusion lines off Bandar Abbas. And then propaganda, allies will not respond. Allies cannot respond. Allies are too slow. The enemy plan was built on 3 assumptions. Assumption 1, that multi-axis salvos would saturate defenses. Assumption 2, that response aircraft would be stuck waiting on permissions and tanker availability. Assumption 3, that mobile launchers could shoot and disappear into civilian road nets before anyone could lock them. They believed the defenders would argue while missiles flew. They believed the first 15 minutes would be panic. They believed the second 15 minutes would be damage control. They wanted a headline. They wanted state media footage. They wanted proof that US allies in the Middle East could be bled on schedule. At 4:05 p.m., the first enemy sequence begins to unfold. 4:05 p.m., western Iran near Kermanshah province. 3 transporter erector launchers roll from a wadi, engines low, headlights off. They stop exactly 2.2 kilometers apart. Each TL raises to firing angle. The crews are fast, well-drilled, no wasted motion. A fiber-linked command van sits 600 meters back, antenna pointed west. A spotter drone, small, electric, climbs to 2,000 feet, feeding a tight beam to a relay. 4:06 p.m., northern Iraq, south of Sinjar. 5 launch positions, some decoys, some real, are already prepared. Painted rocks. Heat blankets. The real launcher is tucked under a camo net beside an irrigation canal. A second drone pops up to 3,500 feet to watch roads, looking for the thing they fear, fast movers. 4:07 p.m., southern Iraq near Basra outskirts. 2 more launchers fire short-range rockets toward a coastal radar site on the Kuwaiti side. Not to destroy it, just to force it to radiate. to make it scream into the sky so they can map the Allied picture. 4:08 p.m. In Doha airspace, the base gets the track update. 15 inbound ballistic tracks. Mixed apogees. Some depressed. Some lofted. Time to impact, 9:10. At 4:08 p.m., the commander on duty at Al Udeid, Colonel Daniel Mercer, doesn't raise his voice. He leans over the console, eyes fixed. Confirm classification. The radar tech, Staff Sergeant Lena Ochoa, doesn't hesitate. Confirmed ballistic. Multiple launch points. Not friendly. Not test. Mercer nods once. Sound the alarm. Activate shelter plan. Move fuel line crews. Get the birds off the ground that can move. On the flight line, the alarm finally starts. Flat, mechanical, unforgiving. People run but not chaotically. They run in lanes. Forklifts abandon pallets. A KC-135 crew chief slaps the fuselage twice, points to the taxiway. A C-130 idles, props turning, waiting for a clearance it may never get. The enemy thinks this moment is the win. They think this is when defenders freeze. They're wrong. At 4:09 p.m., a distress beacon is triggered, not a voice call, not a public broadcast. A secure burst transmission. Attack fire imminent packet pushed to the Regional Combined Air Operations Center. Encrypted. Prioritized. Routed through 2 satellites. It hits the COC consoles in under 7 seconds. At 4:09 p.m., Al Salem Air Base, Kuwait, the COC watch floor is already lit. Captain Rafiq Raf Nasser, duty battle captain, reads the incoming packet and snaps his head to the senior controller. Multi-axis ballistic. 15 tracks. Potential follow-on. The senior controller, Major Elise Hargrove, doesn't blink. Execute Razor Lantern. That phrase is the hinge. Razor Lantern is the response machine. It's not a single aircraft. It's an order of operations. Sensors first, suppression second, kill chain third, confirmation fourth. It's designed for one thing, strike the archer, not just the arrow. At 4:10 p.m. the system wakes up. 4:10 p.m. From Al Dhafra, UAE, 2 F-35A Lightning IIs are already at the runway. Hold short. Call signs Viper 2-1 and Viper 2-2. They launch within 90 seconds. Not for show. For sensors. They climb to 28,000 feet, Emkin discipline, scanning. 4:11 p.m. From Al Udeid itself, an E-3 Sentry AWACS is pushed into a rapid orbit, call sign Oracle. It doesn't leave the region. It repositions to keep radar horizon while protecting itself. Distance from threat axis, 160 nautical miles. 4:12 p.m., over the Gulf, a KC-46 tanker, call sign Atlas, turns early to set a refuel track at 19,000 feet. Because if the response is late by 10 minutes, the wrong thing burns. 4:12 p.m., in Bahrain, a destroyer, USS Halsey, goes to general quarters. Spy 1 radar spins faster. VLSLs are checked. The ship is 112 nautical miles north of Qatar, positioned to catch anything that leaks. 4:13 p.m., in northern Saudi airspace, a pair of F-15E Strike Eagles, call signs Hammer 1-1 and 1-2, are redirected from a training sortie and given. Live weapons release authority, conditional. They turn hard northeast. Distance to first target box, 420 nautical miles. Time en route, 31 minutes at military power. This is the countdown. In the next 6 minutes, the first impacts will decide whether this becomes a regional collapse, or a contained incident. If you support the truth reaching people before propaganda rewrites it, hold the line, hit like right now. Quiet support matters when the noise starts. At 4:14 p.m., the enemy executes their second layer. 4:14 p.m., a drone swarm launches from a coastal strip near Bushehr. 8 small UAVs, each carrying a low-yield explosive. They aren't meant to kill hardened shelters. They're meant to distract point defenses, to make radars split attention, to create openings for the ballistic warheads. 4:15 p.m., a cyber team attempts to flood a regional comms node with traffic, hoping to delay targeting data. But the Allied network has already shifted. Alternate paths, hardened routing, pre-planned. The flood hits an empty room. Fatal mistake number 1. They assumed the network was brittle. It isn't. It's waiting for them. 4:16 p.m., the inbound missiles cross the last mid-course update point. They begin to descend. Their terminal phase is now. No more guesswork. Only seconds. At Al Udeid, people are in hardened shelters. But not everyone. On the far perimeter road, a security forces patrol, 2 vehicles, can't reach shelter in time. They pull under a concrete overpass, Engines off, radios up. Sergeant Miguel Miggs Alvarez keys his mic. Base Raven 2. We are not sheltered. Say again, we are not sheltered. In the command post, Colonel Mercer answers without emotion. Raven 2 acknowledged. Stay under hard cover. Hold comms discipline. At 4:17 p.m., the first interceptors fire. A Patriot launcher north of the base spits 2 PAC-3 MSE missiles into the sky. White smoke. Sharp climb. The intercept geometry is tight, too tight. Because some of the enemy tracks are deliberately depressed, designed to shorten reaction time. The CRAM finally wakes, radar snapping, gun tracking. But CRAM is not for ballistic. It's for the small stuff. And the small stuff is coming too. 4:18 p.m., impact window begins. One missile is intercepted at 14,000 feet, a bright fragmentation bloom. Debris rains in a wide cone over empty scrub. No cheer. No celebration. Just another track. Second missile leaks. It comes in fast, steeper, aimed at the fuel farm. 4:18 and 37 seconds p.m., it hits 110 meters short, punching into a berm and throwing sand and fire. The shock wave rattles shelter doors. A fuel line ruptures but doesn't ignite, because the crews already shut the valves at 4:09. That was decision, not luck. 4:19 p.m., 2 more impacts outside the perimeter. One is a dud, buries itself, hissing. One detonates shallow, sending shrapnel across the outer road. Raven 2's overpass takes fragments like hail. Sergeant Alvarez breathes once, controlled. Raven 2 to base. We took fragments. Vehicle 2 has a flat. No casualties. Still operational. Mercer replies immediately. Raven 2 hold. Stay alive. Help is coming. At 4:20 p.m., the enemy believes they've achieved the opening blow. They broadcast internally, target struck. Defenders overwhelmed. They prepare to move launchers. Fatal mistake number 2, they assume they still have time. At 4:21 p.m., Viper 2-1 F-35 picks up the first emitter. A command van relay uplink, pushing burst traffic near Sinjar. It's not loud. It's careful. But careful still leaves fingerprints. Viper 2-1's pilot, Captain Nora Kestrel Gaines, speaks in a calm drawl over secure net. Oracle Viper 2-1. I have a probable C2 node. Grid follows. Stand by for pass. Oracle answers. Viper 2-1 copy. Correlating. You are weapons free on confirmed TEL support. At 4:22 p.m., a second capability reveals itself. Not in the sky. On the ground. A special reconnaissance team, 8 operators, has been sitting for 36 hours on the Iraqi side, near the corridor the enemy uses to move launchers. Call sign, Nomad. They were placed there because patterns had been seen weeks earlier. And now the pattern is exact. Nomad leader, Chief Warrant Officer Aaron Pike, watches through thermal optics. He sees the heat signature of a TEL moving under netting. He doesn't fire. He doesn't need to. He tags it, laser code. He sends a burst, target marked. Moving northwest. Speed 22 kilometers per hour. 1 vehicle support. In the next 6 minutes, the battlefield will turn. Because when sensors and ground eyes agree, the kill chain becomes a straight line. At 4:23 p.m., Hammer 1-1 and 1-2 are told what they are now. Not training. Not deterrence. But Major Elise Hargrove's voice cuts through the net, professional and final. Hammer flight, you are cleared into box seater. Prioritize TELs and command vans. Minimize collateral. Confirm before release. Hammer 1-1, Lieutenant Colonel Samir Dune Haddad answers. Copy Cedar. We are inbound hot. We will prosecute. At 4:24 p.m., the enemy tries to vanish. Launchers split. One heads toward Tal Afar. One toward a village road. One parks under a bridge. They think asphalt and civilians are armor. Fatal mistake number 3. They think rules of engagement are a shield. They are not. They are a filter. And the filter has already been passed. 4:25 p.m., Viper 2-2 identifies a drone control station near Boucher's outskirts. A small compound. 2 vehicles. 1 antenna. He calls it Oracle Viper 2-2. Drone control node. Request prosecute with SDB. Oracle, approved. Confirm no civilian presence. Viper 2-2, no movement. Negative civilian. Rifle. 1 small diameter bomb releases. It falls silent for 9 seconds. Then the compound becomes a tight white flash, contained, surgical. No fireball for the cameras. Just disappearance. Type yes if you want to see the moment all targets get hit at once, because the turning point is already inbound and it's synchronized. 4:26 p.m., Nomad team updates. 2 TELs have halted, crews dismounting, confused by comms loss. They are about to abandon vehicles and scatter. Chief Pike whispers. Too late. Hammer 1-1 enters the box at 23,000 feet. They are still 11 minutes from weapon release range if they play it safe. They don't play it safe. Hammer 1-2 rolls in first, a steep bank. Coordinates fed. Laser code confirmed. 1 AGM-158 JSSM is not used, too much. They choose AGM-65E Laser Maverick. Fast, precise, low collateral. 4:27 p.m., the first surgical strike begins. Hammer 1-2, rifle. The missile drops, ignites and runs straight down the laser line like it's on rails. 17 seconds later it punches into the TEL's midsection. The launcher breaks, folds, then burns. Secondary propellant cooks off in short violent pops. Hammer 1-1, good effect. Next. In the same minute, Viper 2-1 releases 2 GBU-53 Stormbreakers at a second TEL support truck. Network glide. All weather. The truck tries to accelerate. It doesn't matter. The bomb corrects mid-flight, hits the engine block and the vehicle stops like it hit a wall. At 4:27 p.m., the enemy realizes they are being hunted in real time. They try to re-establish comms. They can't. This is an eternity in combat. Because an eternity is not hours. It's the 60 seconds where you know you are visible and cannot move. 4:28 p.m., second TL destroyed. 4:29 p.m., command van eliminated by Stormbreaker. 4:30 p.m., third TL attempts to fire again. Emergency launch. It raises. It locks. And it never completes the cycle. A Navy P-8 Poseidon, call sign Trident, has been orbiting 170 nautical miles south, monitoring emissions over the Gulf. It pushes a cue to USS Halsey. Halsey responds with a single standard missile engagement against a track leaving Iran's coast. The missile is destroyed 47 seconds after boost. The debris falls into the water. No impact. No headline. Share this with the communities that never get told what was hidden, because the real battle is always the one that gets edited out. At 4:31 p.m., the main combat montage begins. Not a single continuous firefight, multiple kill boxes closing one after another. The enemy is caught between air power, ground eyes, and a shrinking corridor. 4:31 p.m., Nomad team watches surviving crewmen run. They try to blend into a tree line. An allied partner force, 12 vehicles, 46 fighters, moves to cut them off from the west. Distance, 3.8 kilometers. Speed, 60 kilometers per hour on hardpack. 4:32 p.m., Viper 2-2 detects another emitter. Short burst from a handheld radio, likely a launcher commander. It's desperate, unencrypted. A mistake. Viper 2-2 marks it. A single 25mm strafe is considered, rejected, too much risk of mis-ID. Instead, a GBU-54 laser JDM is chosen by Hammer 1-1, because the Nomad laser is still on the ground. 4:33 p.m., laser on. 4:33 p.m., in. 4:33 and 19 seconds p.m., detonation. A tight crater. The radio stops. The movement stops. So far, 3 launchers destroyed. No reinforcements yet. And the enemy still thinks they can retreat. In the next 6 minutes, the retreat route becomes a kill zone. 4:34 p.m., 2 more missile sites in western Iran are identified by Viper sensor fusion. Heat signatures, tire tracks, fresh scorch. They're not moving yet. They're waiting for confirmation from leadership. Leadership is now cut off. Fatal mistake number 4, they waited for permission. The defenders did not. 4:35 p.m., a salvo of 4 Stormbreakers releases from Viper 2-1 and 2-2 in sequence. Each one assigned to a different coordinate. Each one flying its own path. The sky doesn't look crowded because the weapons are quiet. On the ground, the 4 sites die nearly simultaneously. Not in a cinematic row of explosions. In a set of controlled impacts, one after another, separated by seconds. 4:36 p.m., Hammer 1-2 drops 2 SDBs on a storage tent line supporting the launch crews. Fuel bladders rupture. Tires burn. Vehicles that could have moved the next launch are now black skeletons. 4:37 p.m., partner force blocks the tree line. Nomad team calls out movement. 3 individuals. Eastbound. No weapons visible. Possible spotters. They are detained, not shot. Zip ties. Knees in the dirt. Because intelligence is also a weapon. Reaction word if you felt the shock of how fast this flipped. Comment locked. Because from this moment forward, the enemy is locked inside their own plan. 4:38 p.m. Last two identified launchers attempt exfil toward a town edge. They pick roads with traffic thinking it buys them seconds. It buys them none. Oracle calls it. Viper flight, you are cleared to prosecute moving TELs. Confirmed hostile. Viper 2-1, copy. Engaging. A single Stormbreaker hits the lead TEL's rear axle. It spins, flips into a ditch, launcher rails snapping like ribs. A second weapon hits the trailing support truck. The convoy stops. The crews scatter. Hammer 1-1 drops a final JDM on the abandoned TL. Not to kill people, to kill capability. Lands. The launcher ceases to exist. By 4:30 p.m., the hunt had begun. By 4:40 p.m., it is ending. 4:40 p.m., 15 missile sites, launch points, support nodes, relay vans, drone control, are confirmed neutralized or abandoned. Some destroyed by air. Some by Allied partner interdiction. Some simply turned into dead metal because their comms and fuel were gone. And now the collapse. The enemy attempts to retreat at 4:41 p.m. Small groups. No radios. No vehicles. They move through dry canals, through olive rows, toward towns where they believe they can disappear. They don't understand what's above them. MQ-9 Reaper, call sign Greyline, has arrived overhead at 18,000 feet, silent, watching, recording. Its camera sees heat in the dirt like it's daylight. It tags. It tracks. It hands off. 4:43 p.m., partner forces intercept two groups. 4 prisoners. Then 7. Then 11. One man tries to run. He trips. He is caught. No hero footage. No martyr clip. Just bodies in the dirt and hands on heads. At 4:45 p.m., the final call is issued, over a captured radio. A voice shaking. Cease. Just withdraw. Do not engage. It's not surrender in words. It's surrender in behavior. Too late. By 4:48 p.m. it's over. Now the scoreboard. Enemy. 15 missile-related sites neutralized in 27 minutes from first warning packet. 9 TELs destroyed or rendered non-functional. 4 command and control nodes eliminated. 2 drone control sites disabled. 1 attempted follow-on launch intercepted at boost. 38 enemy personnel detained by partner forces. Estimated 19 killed in strikes, based on ISR and battle damage assessment. Friendly and allied. 3 wounded from perimeter fragmentation at Al Udeid. 0 aircraft lost. 0 ships damaged. Fuel farm saved. Flight line remains operational. 1 CRM trailer overheated and had to be cycled, non-combat loss. The numbers were staggering, not because of casualty counts but because of speed. Because the enemy expected hours. They got minutes. State media tries to fill the gap. First, denial, no missiles launched. Then deflection, training accident. Then silence. Because satellites don't argue. Commercial imagery shows burn scars at coordinates. Infrared passes show still hot wreckage. Signal intercepts show panic transmissions cutting off mid-sentence. And Allied briefings to partners happen that night, short, clipped, final. No escalation sought. Capability removed. Further launches will be treated as hostile acts. Across the region, ports tighten. Convoys change timing. Air defenses rotate sectors. Allies reassess their own readiness and quietly request integration with the same network that just saved a base. Adversaries go quiet, not because they are peaceful but because they are calculating. They just learn the response time. They just learn the chain of command doesn't stall. They just learned that mobile launchers are not invisible anymore. This incident proved 3 things. 1. Forward posture isn't about intimidation. It's about math. Response windows measured in minutes, not days. Because the distance from Al Dhafra to western Iran is not a political statement. It's 540 nautical miles and a tanker track. 2. Defenders don't need to shoot every missile if they can kill the launchers. Aero defense buys time. Archer elimination ends the cycle. 3. Rules of engagement do not equal hesitation. When confirmation is high, action is immediate. Precision is not softness. Precision is control. But it also carried a warning. This could have escalated into a wider war with one wrong detonation. If a warhead had hit a fuel farm and created mass casualties, retaliation would have been inevitable. If a missile had struck a civilian district near Doha, politics would have demanded something far louder than surgical strikes. If a ship in the Gulf had been hit, the maritime lanes could have locked overnight, and the regional economy would have seized. It didn't happen, not because the enemy chose restraint but because their plan collapsed under speed. Final recap timeline. 4:03 p.m., Al Udeid, Qatar. Inbound multi-axis tracks detected. Flat daylight. Dust haze. This wasn't a drill. 4:09 p.m., secure distress packet hits the COC. Razor lantern. Activated. 4:10 p.m., Viper 2-1 and 2-2 launch from Al Dafra. Oracle AWACS repositions. Atlas tanker sets track. 4:18 p.m., impact window begins. One leak detonates short of fuel farm. Perimeter takes fragments. 3 wounded. 4:21 p.m., first enemy emitter located. Nomad ground team confirms TEL movement. 4:27 p.m., first surgical strike destroys a TEL. Turning point begins. 4:35 p.m., multiple sites hit in near simultaneous strikes. Enemy comms collapse. 4:40 p.m., 15 missile-related sites neutralized. 4:48 p.m., enemy withdrawal call intercepted. Operations complete. 4:03 p.m. was the opening. 4:30 p.m. was the reversal. By 4:48 p.m. it was over. And in the final minute, remember this. Hit like if you want these stories preserved before the narrative gets rewritten. Comment this question: what was the first fatal mistake? Subscribe, because the next operation won't come with warnings, and the timeline always moves faster than the headlines.